This is perfect. Ryan Warsofsky speaks out on two major San Jose Sharks injuries, and a Sharks player sets a milestone in the game versus the Nashville Predators tonight. We're going to break all this down and more later on in this episode. Before we get into that, I just want to give a huge shout out to everyone watching this video. If you are currently a part of the 68.6% that's not subscribed and you want to keep up to date on everything to do with the San Jose Sharks, make sure to go down and hit that subscribe button, as we'll be here all season long giving you updates from around the Sharks. But with that, let's hop straight into the first topic today, where Ryan Warsofsky speaks out on Vanecek's injury. How to see him in practice, and does he look comfortable with traffic around him, with bodies around him, pucks coming in different ways? Direct of what he's doing now, he's got a little ways to catch up to game speed. Now it does continue on where you can see that he couldn't offer an exact timeline for Vanecek, and we will touch on the goalie situation just in a few minutes. But the biggest thing is, he said that's something that we'll have to make a decision on. It'll be up to Mike and his staff. We're taking it day by day. Now we do see that he is on the ice working with Nabokov to get back into game shape. We've seen him out for quite some time, and like this says here, he wants to see him on the ice for a little bit before they truly get him into a game. Now the biggest thing with this is the goalie situation that might occur in San Jose. Now, when we're looking at the goalies right now, there are three goaltenders on this roster. Like it says in this, one of them are waiver exempt, but it does lead to, will you send Askarov down after his performances? Looking at the goaltending stats, Askarov is currently sitting 3-4-2 with the Sharks, 9-12 save percentage. Georgiev is sitting with an 888 in 10 games, holding a 2-8-0 record during that span. And Vanecek is currently sitting with 14 games played, 3 wins, 8 losses, 1 overtime loss, and an 885 save percentage. Now looking at these goalie stats, the biggest thing is, yes, Askarov is the goalie of the future of this team. Askarov will be the starting netminer going into next year. But looking at the contracts, looking at what Warsofsky said, when Vanecek is back, it's going to get quite interesting. Looking at the current contracts between the three Sharks players, we can see Vanecek is on the last year of his deal, $3.4 million. This is a one-way deal, so he is not waiver exempt to be sent down to the Barracuda. He's UFA at the end of the season, and all things are pointing at that he will be finding a new team unless the Sharks do want to extend him and run him as a veteran backup between the pipes behind Askarov going into next season. Now, the second goaltender would be Georgiev. Georgiev, who was acquired by the Colorado Avalanche, is a goaltender that will be gone from this team at the start of the next year. Georgiev, year 3 of 3 with the Sharks, age 29 as a UFA at the end of this deal, $3.4 million. I would not be surprised if they did trade him to a team that desperately needs a backup veteran goaltender to lead their team to go into the Stanley Cups. I'm not going to say Georgiev's going to go out and win a Stanley Cup for someone, but this is the type of goaltender that teams may look at and say, hey, we have a contending team. Right now, we don't have the best backup. I mean, if you look at Carolina, they were dealing with a situation where Dustin Kakarski at 35 was the backup goaltender before someone like Freddie Anderson got back to the lineup. So maybe a team does go out to try acquire Georgiev, but it's going to get interesting on how the Sharks work their magic with three goaltenders, and that gets into the final goaltender, which is, of course, Askarov. With Askarov, year 3 of 3, he is extended into the next 2 years, $2 million cap hit. He's 25 at the end of it as an RFA. Right now, he's 23 years old. Askarov is the goaltender of the future for the San Jose Sharks team. Askarov has looked outstanding since joining the Sharks team. I mean, if we're looking at the stats alone, 3-4-2 with a 9-12 save percentage. Now, this does not have any stats after the Nashville game. This was recorded before the Nashville, or I should say after the first period of the Nashville game. But looking at Askarov, looking at his stats, it's going to be hard for Mike Grier to really look at this guy, or Ryan Warsofsky to look at Askarov and say, hey, we're going to send you back to the Barracuda when he is miles better than anyone on this roster. I mean, let alone in the shootout, having a 6.67 save percentage in the shootout. You can see that Vanecek is at 33% in the shootout, and Georgiev has not faced anyone in the shootout. But the biggest thing with this is If the San Jose Sharks want to continue to develop Askarov and use him as a goalie as the future, I do think keeping him up this year is the best thing to do. Even if you don't move on from a goaltender like Georgiev or of a guy like Vanecek, this is the guy that I would run as a hot hand and as the goalie for the rest of the year to get him more reps. Now, going into the second part of this video, we did see a milestone come out from a San Jose Sharks player today, and that was Sharks lead reaches 5-1 as Granlund, that's his second goal of the game, his 100th point as a Shark coming on the power play. Macklin earns his second assist of the contest, and Macklin Celebrini gets a second point of the night, 1 goal, 1 assist. But the biggest thing to look at with this is the fact that Granlund has his 100th point as a San Jose Shark. Looking at his time over his career with the Sharks, 69 games played, 12 goals, 48 assists for 60 points. This year, 47 games, 12 assists, 26 assists, 12 goals, and 38 points. Granlund has been leading this team in points for the entire year. He's looking like an absolute stud and someone that once again Mike Grier can flip at deadline if it does come to this. His cap hit, his production on this team is something that's going to be really valued from around the league by multiple teams. I mean, looking at the stats alone, not including the game versus Nashville tonight, he has 4 more points than Macklin. He has 6 more points than Celebrini, who has 10 less games played. Celebrini would be leading this team in points if he was here for the entirety of the year. But looking at the stats, looking at where the Sharks are to right now, this really shows they're in such a good spot. You have an elite goaltender in Askarov already growing with this team and locked up for the next 2 years, putting up better stats than both your veteran goaltenders that are on this team as well. You have Celebrini, who would be the leading point scorer on this team if he was not out at the start of the year. You have trade bait value in guys like Granlund, who just put up his 100th point over 2 seasons with the San Jose Sharks. As you can see, 38 points this year. He is leading the team in points. This is going to be so much value for a team looking to add veteran leadership and someone that can produce on the offensive end, someone that can play in the top 6 or middle 6 for a contending team. This just shows how bright the future is for the San Jose Sharks, and things are going to get so much better as time goes on. Now, Ryan Warsofsky did get an update on Tyler Toffoli. It's not a big one, but he said, we'll see how he is when we get back to San Jose. He continued on to seem like it was a day-to-day situation. Having Toffoli out of this lineup is something that does hurt the Sharks. In 47 games, 17 goals, 13 assists for 30 points. You can see he's averaging just under 17 minutes time on ice. Toffoli is locked up long-term on this team. He has been producing on this team with 17 goals, which is the leader on this team. 4 goals. He's averaging one of the highest ice times just behind guys like Celebrini, Garland. You can work your way down, but the biggest thing is getting him back on the ice, getting this team fully healthy to kind of showcase to other teams that they are, talented. They can go out and put up points, but also to showcase some guys that maybe they're going to move on from. Guys like Granlund, and we've talked about this before. Sturm is another guy that's been in trade talks. Ferraro, Cody Ceci. They're going to add so much capital at the end of the season, and it's going to be so exciting to see what trade deadline's like. But what's your guys' thoughts? Who would you send down to the minors? Would you maybe waive Georgiev or Vanecek to keep Askarov up? Or do you think he'd be more suited to join the Barracuda and build from there for the rest of the year? And who do you think's going to be trade bait this season for the San Jose Sharks? Let me know down in the comments. While you're down there, leave a like, subscribe, share this with your friends. If you want to keep up to date with the San Jose Sharks, make sure to go down and hit that subscribe button. But I've been your host, Mark Pye, and take care.